Hello people, welcome to the channel. Today we're just going to have a nice relaxing look through a box of Bob Marley and the Wailers 45 RPM 7-inch vinyl singles. I've collected these over about the last 25 years maybe. A lot of them aren't the rarest. I just collected all the Bob Marley and the Wailers tunes that I personally like. Rather than getting the LPs, I always buy 45s as a selector. Obviously 45s play on a sound system much better. So I grew up with Bob Marley and the Wailers, just like a lot of people. And I've grew very obsessive about reggae later on. But like everyone else, I've got good memories of the early Wailers tunes that I heard. So we're going to have a look through this. This box is in a bit of a funny order. It starts round about where most people who know the Wailers from not an expert perspective would start to recognise the music. I'm going to start there where the albums released on Ireland started. And then once we've been through that era, I'm going to go backwards, back to some earlier stuff, the Upsetters, Beverly's material. So you might hear the rain outside. The birds are loving it just in the beginning of spring. So maybe this might be good for a relaxing ASMR journey, if that's what you're looking for. And if not, maybe you'll be more interested in the vinyl. So let's start. This is a big favourite of mine, Chant I on one side, Curfew on the other, otherwise known as Burning and Looting, from the first album, I think it is Burning. Serious tune. Chant I, otherwise known as Rastaman Chant, as the Wailers on bongo Nyabingi style. Very deep Rasta music. And Curfew, of course, massive tune, Burning and Looting, militant style from the Wailers. Well known from the film La Haine, classic film. If you haven't seen that, I'd definitely recommend it. With some amazing video footage of riots in Paris set to this tune. This is the original Jamaican 7-inch. Never got released on a different 7, I don't think. Curfew and Chant I. This is Promo Island with the pink rim. A little bit rarer than some of the other Island stuff. Get Up, Stand Up, mono on one side in the days when people still played things in mono on purpose. Stereo on the other side. That's a nice one. Big tune, Get Up, Stand Up. Again from the earliest LP output, Burning on Ireland. Another one on the pink rimmed label. This one's not a promo. So Just Say, big favourite of mine, very deep tune. Natty Dread on the other side. I think this might be from another country, this press. These pink island labels, known to be a bit rarer, but still not super hard to find. There we've got Natty Dread, of course, on the UK label there, and here it comes on the Jamaican. Now at this point, although the Wailers were putting out music with Ireland by this time, they were also releasing the music first in Jamaica. Natty Dread, this is the Jamaican pressing. dub version on the other side, released in a proper Jamaican style before this music came on Ireland. Yeah, quite a nice heavy 7 there. From the same time, another original Jamaican pressing, Roadblock, otherwise known as 3 o'clock Roadblock, I think. Jamaican, again with the dub, the I3s, in a great style on the dub side. These mixes on the Jamaican 7 inches tend to be a lot harder than the way that Chris Blackwell released them on Ireland. He tended to make them more like rock records, adding maybe some white guitarists to give it more of an Eric Clapton feel, and that's not really where I want to hear the music going when I listen to this music. So anytime the Jamaican 7's available, I'll always listen to that instead of the Ireland LP or 7. This is a massive tune, Bellyful. To me, this is one of the hardest tunes of this kind of era. I think this had some Lee Perry involvement. The I3s again in full effect. The heavy dub side. Real sound system tune, this one. Again, it's the Jamaican 7 inch. Although it comes on an island as well. I wouldn't bother with that because the mix is inferior. Here we've got one. This was a collaboration with Lee Perry, which I live. This is the harder mix. There's 2 different mixes. I prefer this one, so I only kept this one. This comes with a really nice picture sleeve. Not in the greatest condition, but quite hard to find this, I think. Let's have a look. Selassie, obviously. This record was made after the reports of Haile Selassie's death. And of course, the Rastafarians didn't believe in the mortal passing of His Majesty. Great picture cover, that. Although I've kept the picture covers of a lot of the Ireland output, I'm not big on them really. A lot of them are quite commercial, but this one's really raw. Okay, guys. It's another nice one with Lee Perry, Smile Jamaica. Got its own design on the label there. I think it even had something to do with the Jamaican Tourist Board, this one. Very heavy tune anyway. Lee Perry style. And this is my battered copy of the alternative mix, which comes on the same label. Confusingly enough, 2 completely different mixes of the tune, different takes. One recorded at Harry J Studio, one recorded at Lee Perry's. The Lee Perry one sounds very much Family Man produced. Aston Family Man Barrett, of course, providing the heavy rhythms for most of these 7s. This one's a big favourite of mine. Deadly label design. Rat Race. Gotta love that. Militant. This is the Jamaican 7 inch. The part 2. Nice mix. Worth finding. If you want to hunt this out, don't go for the 7 that looks the same but with the faded you want to get the one with the solid black like this, not faded. It's a better press. This is quite a rare one. It's a Barbados WIRL press, Total Sounds. And this one has a different mix from the Jamaican that I showed you a minute ago. Very nice, heavy 7. Rat Race Part 2, different mix. Quite a treasured one to me, that. It's very heavy. I'm a big fan of these Total Sounds and other Barbados Wailers presses, some for the different mixes, some just because they look nicer. And I believe they came in sleeves like this. That's an original WIRL West Indies Records Limited Barbados sleeve. The different Wailers in it. Rock, roots, rock, reggae. I think this might be a different mix, although I haven't checked it against the Jamaican. I only got this recently. Cry to Me on the other side. This does have a different matrix to the Island 7-inch. Tuff Gong on Roots Rock Reggae. Or the Island. So the chances that it's a different mix are fairly high, but the jury's out. Another one on that Total Sounds label that I love. War. This is one of the heaviest tunes of the era to me. Written by A. Cole, C. Barrett. Who the Cat Fit on the other side. I think that's the same mix. And War is the same mix as the Jamaican, but plays nicer on this press. Quite rare, this press. Love that label. So now we've got the Jamaican. It took me a long time to find this. It doesn't actually seem to be that rare in the days of eBay and international record dealing, but 25 years ago in the UK, you couldn't find this anywhere. Lovely original Tuff Gong Jamaican label. Roots Rock Reggae on the other side, as I say. I'm not sure if it's the same mix as the previous 7. Glad to have that anyway. Nice US company sleeve here. This one was only pressed in the US. Who the Cat Fit. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. Who the Cat Fit's on the other side of War as well. Total Sounds. But here, get the dubwise version. Who the Cat Fit. Another one that you don't see very often. Sometimes I just like to get them out of the plastic. Nice looking 7 there. Virgin. I'm a little bit OCD about how I keep my records, you might be able to tell. I like being able to flick through and then make it nice. nice. And this is a big one on everyone's Wailers list. Natural Mystic from the Exodus LP, of course. They never put that mix out on a 45, funnily enough. The Exodus mix, strange to me that would never come on at a 7 on Island or Tuff Gong. Don't really know why, but what they did put out was this version, which was used in the great classic reggae film Countryman. And this mix has crickets at the beginning of it, a great build-up, just with the sounds of Jamaica dubbed over the intro. Crickets in the natural world. It's a great version. I think the mix might even be a little bit different to the Exodus LP. Let's have a little look at the details. Quite a nice little picture cover there from the film Countryman. One thing about the 7, the B-side, not a Wailers one, but if you're a Roots listener, absolutely essential. Sound of Aswad, otherwise known as Human Cargo. Carry Us Beyond, classic Steppers tune. Really, you want the 12-inch, but hard to find these days. So this is a great double-sider, different mix of Natural Mystic and a classic stepper on the other side. Dodgy, illegitimate release. Deadly one though. Natural Mystic, the horns mix. Put out by some enterprising individual. One-sided blank. Nothing on the other side. Well, Island, you should have put it out yourself. No sympathy for you. This is another Barbadian pressing, West Indies Recording Limited. They had their own little label design for the Tuff Gong. This yellow and red, I really like it. Same mix on Exodus here. Nothing different about the music. I think it's a different B-side, One Love, Get Ready. Unique B-side to the Barbadian press. I just like the label. There's the Common or Garden UK Exodus. Probably find that for £2 on eBay right now. I recommend it. Deadly B-side. It's actually an underrated tune. Heavy stepper style. Another Barbadian. I really love this tune, Crisis. The vocal only comes on the Kaya LP. And this is the dub, which comes on a 7. I did read in a discography somewhere that the Crisis vocal comes on a 7 somewhere, but I haven't been able to find the details. So I'll just play it on the LP with this dub. Is this Love on the other side? Here's Crisis version again on a slightly prettier than usual US press. I like these US ones. They look a bit different to the UK. Again, an easy one to find this really is this Love on the Other Side. This one's a bit more interesting. You can see there it says Sun is Shining. There's a piece of it, of course, on Kaya, the LP, released on Ireland. Obviously, that was a recut of the original Lee Perry version, but this 7 is quite unique. Pressed in France. Nice little cover actually, which I don't really usually go for so much. Same as the LP cover, I think that is more or less. Lyrics on the cover there. The lyrics are pretty obvious, to be honest, but still quite nice to have. But anyway, the version of Sun is Shining is not the same as the LP. It's a dub, very heavy dub. Mixed by Family Man, I would guess, because it sounds very similar to the dubplate versions, which are wicked. I'd like to show you the title nicely there. Oh, that's the wrong side. I always show the side I like to play, and I tuck away the picture sleeve, sorry, behind, so I always see the tune first. Easier for selecting. So much trouble in the world. An easy one to find. Very heavy music. I really love this room. This is at least slightly interesting for the fact that it's a Japanese pressing. I'm actually a fan of this particular cover. I think that's one of the more tasteful of the island covers. Quite nice. The instrumental version. Priceless if you're a selector. £3 in reality. Plastic thing's a bit long, isn't it? But I love that sound. That's for the ASMR crew. If you don't know what ASMR is, just look it up. Wake Up and Live. Killer tune. This is a more common one with Survival, Black Survivor. Well, that's the lyrics anyway. Both of those very heavy rhythms, favourites of mine. And that's a US press, if I'm not wrong. Getting towards the end of the island era now, the LPs should be more familiar to everyone. There's another Wake Up and Live, slightly rarer US press. Nice company sleeve there. Have a little look at that. It's quite pretty. I think this is only a US design. The sleeve there. With Wake Up and Live here, you get part 2 on the other side, which is only on 7 in terms of 7-inch releases, but I think it did come on a 12, and maybe even is extended on the LP. This is probably just the LP cut in half. I seem to remember the LP cut's extended, but still nice little 45. Now this is a real heavy one. The only 45 release of We and Them. I'm surprised there wasn't a Jamaican 7 actually, but there's some very heavy dubplate versions. But even just this release 7 is raw to the bone. Probably my favourite of the island's 7s maybe. And I think this one is French. Is it French? Doesn't actually say. No French language on it. But I think this is a French one. Coming in from the cold is what it's obviously billed as. No mention of We and Them even on the cover. Just hiding there on the B-side. That's a proper one. Favourite, Zimbabwe. Easy to find. This is a Spanish press. A good picture of Mugabe on it. If you like that sort of thing. Majority rules. Of course, this was a long time ago. Fair to say Mugabe was early in his career at this point. 3 little birds on the flip. Apparently 3 little birds is universally loved by children more than almost any other song. Good thing to remember if you're trying to get your kids into reggae. Simple but effective. History there. And this is a bit of a special one. It's another French one away. The only 7-inch pressing of work, which to me is one of the deadliest of this period. Wicked Roots tune. You don't get a dub. That would be asking too much, wouldn't it? The other side's Redemption Song. In fact, I'd have to check whether that was the is it the live version, or because the other version doesn't turn up very much. This is actually quite interesting press. Doesn't look familiar. Look at that. There's weird little. The UK is known these little marks at the side there. Some one-away blank UK releases in the 70s, early styles had these around the edges. Never in Jamaica, but this is a French one. Yeah, interesting press that. Next up we got Black Man Redemption, original Jamaican Tuff Gong. This was recorded at Black Ark, I believe, with Lee Perry. Around about this time, Bob started collaborating with Lee Perry again. After a few years not working with him, obviously, after they split. We're going to get to some Lee Perry at some point. It's another one with Black Ark, Rasta Man Live Up. And these are from the last released LP from Bob Marley, Confrontation, released after his death. Has amazing artwork, the LP, but not one of the strongest. Although I love these couple of tunes. Rasta Man Live Up, nice alternative Jamaican Tuff Gong label that. The dub on the flip, of course. That's the thing about the Jamaican releases. You get a raw mix on the A side. You get a proper dub. It just doesn't really happen with Ireland, except for those couple of special ones. Jamaican style, sound system style. There's Bad Card from Confrontation again. And the lyrics of this are more or less aimed straight at the heads of his would-be assassinators, same as Ambush. Bad Card. He says, can't get me out of the race. Ambush in the night. Of course, they tried to assassinate him, and it didn't work. Dubs on these Jamaican servants, of course. I love this label design. It always looks really pretty to me. Although a lot of the ones on this label are fairly common, really. It's the original article. I much prefer these to digging around in LPs. No dubs. That one's just a reissue, actually. Never mind. So now I've got to the end, really, of the island output. And this press is from the time of those previous ones we've looked at. But this is a completely different era of music. Hypocrites, one of their deadliest early self-produced tunes, released on Wailers Solemn, which I have here. Hypocrite. And this is really from the beginning of their career. They started at Studio One before this even. I'm not going to show you any Studio One today because they've actually got their own section. I'm a Studio One fanatic. Anything released on Studio One is separate, so we won't be dealing with them today. Everything that's not on Studio One is in this box. So let's just have a look at original close up. very rare now, these original Wailers Solomons. And this is the only one I've got on the actual label. A couple of blanks. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at the three hands. Peter, Bob and Bunny. Wailers Solomon. There's Nice Time on the other side. 67 recordings these are. They put out, I think it's maybe 5 or 6 of these double-sided killers from Wailers Solomon. And they really are the foundation of roots music, even from the Rocksteady era. Hypocrites and Nice Time released the same way on this. I think this is about 84. This release, this is a must buy. You can still pick this up cheap. It's actually a different mastering, different pressing, slightly different mix to this original, and it drops very nice on a sound system. So if you don't want to shell out for the original piece, this is also killer. I lost my place now. So now we've jumped back to, as I say, the beginning really of their career, the Wailers. Because we're not just interested in Bob, obviously I've got separate sections for Peter and Bunny, so we're not covering them today, they're not in this box. But of course they had their own brilliant roots careers, both of them, after the early years of the Wailers. So now we're going back to a time when they were more of a group, rather than Bob on his own being the famous one. This was originally released on the Wailers Solomon label, both of these sides, Hurting Inside and This Train. But this 70s press, about 72 I think, is a little bit easier to find, a little bit less extortionately expensive. Beautiful, beautiful tune, Hurting Inside, if you don't know it, the original piece. There's another one on a later Tuff Gong, which is not as good, I think. I think that's right. I've only ever had this one, and it's not in perfect condition by any means, but this has got to be one of the all-time Wailers tunes for me. Well played. This Train is just an incredible, moving. It's actually Bunny Wailer and the Wailers. Thank you. Bunny Wailer on the lead vocal, singing a beautiful, moving, emotional tune about his memories and about slavery, deeply, on a more deep level. This is a Wailers Solomon blank, I believe. Stir It Up, the first cut. Not an easy one to find. Rocksteady. Can't even remember what's on the flip side. Can't remember what's on the flip side. Is it This Train? It might be This Train again, that's why this copy probably plays nicer. This Train, I think it is. Stir It Up. Wailers Solomon blank. Now, the pressings I've got from this era are a raggedy bunch, really. I haven't got an all original 60s Wailers collection by any means. I just get them where I can. But the music's the important thing. And this is one of my favourites of all time. Mellow Mood. Beautiful tune. This was on Wailers Solomon. Again, quite a lot cheaper on this press. US 70s press. These Tuff Gong presses play nice, clean, and as I say, not as expensive. Thank you, Lord. Another Wayland Solemn release on the other side. I think that was probably the original flip. Incredible music. So I'm glad to have it on any press. So now we're into more of the poor man's selection. A few reissues. Don't Rock My Boat, a rock steady piece. Extremely difficult to find the original on a blank. So I may do with that. Released by Bob Brooks, Reggae Revive. Or was it released by him or just stocked by him? I'm not sure. Clive Chin, obviously, Impact. Still a long time ago, even when I bought these reissues, still a long time ago now. Bust Them Shut, another one that comes on Waylon Solemn, and another real killer. Deadly lyrics on that one. It's a heavy one. Them I Forget a Beating. Peter Tosh. Backed with Stepping Razor. If only it was an original. Looks good though, doesn't it? Bootleg. I'm hurting inside on a Waylon Solemn. Sometimes you can't resist. Stepping Razor. I have got an original Stepping Razor on 70s Intel Diplo, which is not even original, but it's original as I could afford. Not in this box. We've got a few that I've ended up picking up on the Japanese represses. Very much recommended. I'll show you some details there. This is another expensive one. I wish I could find an original, but this repress is probably still available somewhere. Dub Store Records out of Japan. Did a few Wailers related releases. Even this one is seems to be a limited repress. Feel Alright, real heavy roots. Blueprint. This side, beautiful rhythm. It's just what it says, it's a rhythm. It's just a rhythm. Actually, having said that, I think this is the rhythm from the first piece of Trouble on the Road Again, which is an incredibly rare, I think it's a blank vocal. And this is just the rhythm piece, which I find incredibly moving, very, very deep. Early Wailers style. Nice replica of their original Waylon Solemn stamp there. So I have to recommend that one, of course. You can still get that around now, I'm sure you can. There's another one from the same series, Tread Along. Again, originally released on Waylon Solemn. Another stupidly rare one. And I'm not really too keen on the lyric of this one, it's a bit weird. Telling a girl she's like a stick of macaroni in bed. The lyric just doesn't really hit me. But the version side of this one, again, just like rhythm, it's deadly. Carries you away. Proper music. Probably one of the most ropey looking ones. I guess they didn't get any permission for this. Selassie is the Chapel. Beautiful spiritual tune recorded with Mortimer Plano when Selassie visited the island, Jamaica. And this is a very, very deep, emotional tribute. But a blank, very, very rare, one of the rarest Wailers you could ever find. This is another beautiful one to me, Wisdom. I think this is a dynamic production. I think this is a Beverly's. We're getting into the Beverly's era now, when Bob and the Wailers did a little stint with the Beverly's label. Put out the One Killer LP, some lovely singles. This is on the UK Trojan label, obviously, and appears to have been released afterwards, after the fact, 1981. Mono. And at 1981 they're telling us two never previously released titles. I've heard another piece of Wisdom, I'm sure. I'm not sure if it came on a Jamaican. This Thank You Lord is a different mix to the Wayland Soul on one that we've seen before. It's a nice 7 layers. Really spiritual tune that is as well. Wisdom. I think it might have even been called Adam and Eve at some point. Adam and Eve. Sorry, struggle a bit with this plastic. Carrying on in the Beverly's productions. This is my favourite of that era. Caution. Bad tune. Caution, the road is wet. Quite rare in this UK UK Press Summit. Another subsidiary of Trojan at the time, B&C Records. Stop the Train on the other side. But for me, Caution is the Beverly's tune. Brute style, just how I like it. Colour label on that. See what I was saying about the patents in the UK presses, like on Work. Never see that on a Jamaican press. Gorgeous one. More Beverly's. Let the sun shine on me. Pour down the sunshine of your love. Believe. It's the same tune. On the other side you get Soul Town, which is credited to Bob Marley. It's actually Johnny Lover. I Like It Like This, which is a version of Rock My Boat, which comes on a Jamaican. I'm going to show you in a little while. Another Killer 7, the UK selection. Let's see if this has got that pattern on it. This is yeah, look at that. Still got the pattern. Always tell a UK blank, it's got that pattern. first rare Wailers tune I ever bought from a man like Gladdywax, Stoke Newington, back in the day. Screwface. Yeah, about time it focused there. And it's quite a rare one on a punch. But seen his fair share of play, that one. Scratchy Soundman style. So Screwface is another Beverly's. Reissues I picked up. I think these are from the LP, the Beverly's LP they did. I've never had the LP, since that era is not really my favourite. But these two are really, really lovely tunes. Soul Captives, Do It Nice. Reissues from, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. Both of them come with a dub, which is why I had to pick them up. Soul Captives, deadly tune. So now we're moving on past the Beverly's era into more a time when the Wailers had their own productions going and releasing things on their own Tuff Gong label. So they'd had a bit of success already, and they were kind of moving into their own, finding their own production style. Classic example, Trench Town Rock. This was a massive hit for them. Classic 45. And the version's called Grooving Kingston 12 in this original Jamaican 7. Great raw heavy mix on these 45s. The Wailers certainly knew how to release a thing properly. I would say Chris Blackwell not so much, but matter of opinion. And here's an alternative US release, Trench Town Rock, and it's a different mix. I think it's longer, I believe that was the difference, and it has a different lyric. I think this is the one with the banned lyric about rioting, something like that. I can't remember. But it's a different piece anyway. You still get the flip side called Grooving Kingston. And I never saw another one on G&C Records. This is kind of the same format as the US Tuff Gong label. As you can see, it's got some similarities in the lettering. So there we've got the US Trench Town Rock release. There's a DJ piece, of course. I'm gonna have to pull this record out twice now for this. So do that one there ready. So these Tuff Gong US 7s quite collectible. So we've moved on from Trench Town Rock. We've got the DJ piece, Kingston 12 Shuffle, Bob Marley and Hugh Roy. So obviously Hugh Roy was just another spelling for Hugh Roy, the Foundation DJ. Did a few, I think maybe just 2 or 3 cuts for the Wailers on their Tuff Gong label. So quite a few cuts of this. This is a particularly interesting one because it seems to be the same as the DJ. It's got the same flip side, Ammunition, which which we're going to discuss in a sec. But this is genuinely the U-Roy DJ piece. This one has the same matrix number, 5002A, 5002A. This is some real deep anorak reggae twitching business. This one plays the DJ, this one plays the dub. Lovely little melodica dub with U-Roy coming in and out of it. So it's a lovely one to find that, just a total fluke that I found it through picking up multiple copies of Ammunition, which itself is a very heavy tune. It's the instrumental piece of Concrete Jungle. This is not the same as the Island recording released on the LP by Chris Blackwell. This was recorded at Black Ark with Lee Perry, and it's 100 times heavier. Real serious tune. It's from about 74, I guess, but this pressing is probably a little later. On the other side, for some reason, you get Nice Time, Rocksteady, originally released on Wailers Solemn, much earlier piece of music. All of these on the US Tuff Gong. And a great set of tunes. Another one on the Tuff Gong. I'm going to have to take this out to see it properly, I think. It's a rare piece, Midnight Ravers. Another Black Ark one. Bob Marley, Lee Perry link up. And a US press. The Jamaican's probably even rarer, but this one's nice and clean. Plays nice and clean. Midnight Ravers, one of the early ones that got onto an LP. I think it's on Burning. I don't have either Burning or Catch a Fire LPs because I was able to get the only ones I really cared about on 45s, which I always prefer. Lively Up Yourself, classic, of course. This is an earlier Jamaican mix to the versions to the LP cut, which was quite a lot later than this, I think. Just get a blank label on the outside. Again, Jamaican Tuff Gong. Always with a version, always ready for sound. I love these Tuff Gong Jamaican labels. Here's another US one. So that's just the US pressing of the same. But these US ones tended not to have a version for some reason. So you get guava jelly on the flip. I guess that's to try and sell you the record twice. Obviously, two vocals might hit you more than a vocal and a dub. Guava Jelly's a nice tune. Used to have it on a Jamaican, but I sold it because this one was played better. It's just like a nice little jam rock records. I wonder where that is. US? It's not a UK number. Yeah, they're nice, these US silver lettering, clean presses. Definitely worth picking up and not as hard to find as some of the Jamaican originals, the same tunes. produced one. I think this is Lick Samba, which, if you've ever wondered what this tune's about, it's rude. Lick Samba, obviously hit drum is what it literally means, but it's sexual. A subtle way to say it, maybe. Jamaica. Light's not really right to show you like that, but where did you get the version? Jamaica. Tuff Gong export. Love some of these stamps. Very pretty. More US Tuff Gong, Lick Samba, their version of the release. You get Screwface on the other side from a completely different era. I don't think Lick Samba's Beverly's, is it? Screwface is Beverly's production. So they were just putting out whatever they wanted, really, at this point in the US. That's a nice one. Some stamped blank label styles. See that T there? That's interesting. Just get a repeated T and a stamp. Love the look of that. And this one is redder and red. Redder than red. Redder and red. Tuff Gong self-production. Nice tune. It's about blazing. Of course. And another one from the same era. Tuff Gong. Just on a stamped blank. 127 King Street, their original premises. And that's Craven Choke Puppy. Nice tune, different style. And then, just to go with that, get the Big Youth Cut, Craven version. It's that 127 King Street. Otherwise known as Do Good. And even though it's the 70s press, we get Thank You Lord on the other side. I didn't paint that, it came like that. I think that's the original way the label came. It hasn't been painted. It came on the other side like that. 70s. And now we're getting into a few more readily available ones, reissue styles. JAD, of course, a whole heap of music put out on that label, reissued by Patate in France. Patate? Put out a whole load of Wailers music. And some of these sevens put out at the time, maybe probably 20 years ago now actually, 2002. Some of these sevens have incredible one-away mixes. And this particular one, Mellow Mood, there's a version on WIRL, West Indies Recording Limited, which is pretty rare, of this take, 72 roughly I think it is. Mellow Mood, obviously I've shown you the Rocksteady cut earlier on, which came on Wayland Solemn, so it was an early Rocksteady, but this is a reggae recut from the early 70s, and the release version has some horrible overdubs. I think it's strings, I think it string overdubs, which ruin the mix, make it something completely different. And this, I don't think this exists anywhere else. This is the same version but without the overdubs. Maybe someone will correct me in the comments, but I've never seen that on an original press. And this is just beautiful, this version. Without the overdubs, it just really hits home hard. I have to recommend that, Mellow Mood. And then obviously the two really essential JAD represses. Satisfy My Soul Jaja, Satisfy My Soul Babe. Both extremely rare on original Jamaican Tuff Gong. Upsetter Productions. Some of the heaviest roots music ever made. There's some long details about the dubs of both of these. I think they come on different Jamaican pressings with different mixes. Both of these dubs are different to each other. I couldn't tell you whether they're the same as the Jamaican versions. Someone more knowledgeable about them probably can tell you that in the comments. But these two are a must. Heavy tunes. Wish I had the originals, but you get what you can. This is a rare one. Black Heart. We're into the Lee Perry selection now. This is another US press. Recorded in Jamaica, made in USA. I think Perry put these out, or he licensed them to someone. Standalone. Didn't seem to come on any other sevens. Funnily enough, it says published by B&C, which is Trojan, Mooncrest, UK. But I've never seen standalone on a Trojan. Maybe on an LP. The other side's African Herbs Man. So this looks very similar to me, that this label design, to the US Tuff Gong. Same kind of era, I would guess. Nice one. There's another one, Kaya. I think this is a different mix to the Jamaican. Another Upsetter production. Another one that says it's published by B&C. It's a bit of a mystery. Maybe they licensed it from Trojan, released in the US. All in one on the other side. But Kaya's a big favourite of mine, the Upsetter piece, which also comes on an Upsetter. I've got here somewhere. It should be there. Come back to that one. This one, actually Peter Tosh on the vocal. Deadly Upsetter production. So you can probably hear the wind blowing. The windows and doors. Might even rain again in a minute. Miserable day here in London. Downpresser. The Wailers is actually a later piece of the Peter Tosh super rare 45 on Trans Am, which I'm still looking for. But this Upsetter piece is deadly. Can't go wrong with Lee Perry. It's actually a version of Cinnamon, which they did at Studio One, which I also have, but not in this box. Maybe we might do the studio ones another time if people are into this video. That presser version. And it's the Righteous Upsetters. Never seen that before actually. Peter Tosh. Tosh's alias. So most of the Tosh stuff is in another box, but never mind, we'll get into something little. continuing the upsetter selection. This is the earliest upset stuff we're looking at really now. Keep on moving. Another one coming from Trojan in the UK. African Herbs Man on the other side. Nice tune. And then get the moving version, which is Keep On Moving, Big Youth, Jamaican Justice League, Lee Perry. Other side's a Perry. That's a nice label. Look at that. Justice League. Nice DJ cut. And that is Small Axe. Just on a blank setter. Can't remember what the flip is, but I don't think it's something that I'm really into. Let's see if we can focus a bit better on that. Upset. I believe that's US, maybe UK press. Morax. So Small Axe is probably one you'd recognise. If you are a big tree, we are the small axe coming to cut you down, which is typical of the Wailers' rebel spirit, of course. And this Morax is a slow, deadly, more kind of percussive cut. To me, instantly sounded like a Soundclash tune when I first bought this. Axeman, deadly, little Night Binky version on the other side. Two must-have versions of Small Axe. Nice Soundman tunes. Of course, 108, Man to Man. The first cut of Who the Cat Fit. And this is a beautiful one, not easy to find. And a Jamaican upsetter. Yeah, like it. Really deep. I had this on an acetate. Someone sold me in the early days of collecting, which was probably just this vinyl version cut to an acetate by someone who didn't have it. It was the same mix, but I remember running it to death. Nicotine, it's the dub. Not much dub mixing going on in these days, of course. It's before the black art really era when Lee Perry's known for his mixing. This is just rhythm, but it's still nice to have it. Play later. It's been a while. Yeah, it's not quick, this method. Dubby Conqueror. Another real anthem. Upsetter. Jamaican. Not too hard to find this one. Serious classic of a tune. And there's the Jamaican Kaya. Different mix to the US, I think. Really deep mix on the dub side as well. Early, not much equipment at that time, but still Lee Perry makes the most of this rhythm. It's a gorgeous one. Kaya, first mix. Rock My Boat. That's the upsetter cut. Beautiful tune. Jamaican Tuff Gong. And on this one you get the Johnny Lover. I like it like this. They didn't quote him, they didn't credit him for some reason. It's the same as Soul Town, which I showed you earlier on the UK label. And it's got a nice little stamp on here, so let's have a look. What's that stamp? It's Wailers Soul. Wailers Soul and Records. Nice. Not that clear, but grateful you find that conversion side DJ style. As usual, the Jamaican press showing you how it's done. Straight to Trojan's head. Using the sleeves again, a bit annoying. Alright, we're nearly at the end now. Upset of music, save till last. And maybe this is the greatest of all. Can't tell what it is. There's a clue. Love Light, but that's just the less heavy B-side in my eyes. This is actually Send Me That Love. If you don't know it, I advise you to look it up now. Beautiful Wailers. And of course, one of the most loved of all time, Sun Is Shining. Original piece. Actually, I say original. There's a beautiful green and red Tuff Gong, which I think is the first press. This is not that one. But it will do me. Jamaican, Sun Is Shining. Rum for cover on the flip. And that is a heavier version of, what is it? It's African Herbs Man. It's African Herb Man rhythm. Good one to play on a sound if it's raining. I got to do it once. Solution Sounds, Stone Newton in the 90s started raining. And I got the chance to play this to an outdoor crowd. Run for cover in that tent. Classic style. And got some further pieces of those two rhythms. It's a treasured one. Sun Is Shining version 3. Coming from Johnny Lover again, DJ piece. Otherwise known as Heathen's Rage. Sun Is Shining V3. So that's a DJ piece. And someone mistook it for the Rock My Boat. I like it like this, which is not what it is. This is a version side, version 4. It's actually the rhythm, Sun Is Shining rhythm. And that could possibly be the rarest in my collection. Wailers. Serious piece. That's another rare one. This is a Glenn Adams release on Giant label. And this Rebel version, Soul Rebel, that's what Run for Cover is a version of Soul Rebel. Not African House now. Let's have a little look at that. So I would play Run for Cover first, and then Rebel version is the horns piece. It just so happens got another. I think maybe that's a US press, the horns piece. That's the Jamaican. Glenn Adams again, Capo label. Soul Rebel horns cover. You know, I can't remember what's on the flip. I think it's just the rhythm, Soul Rebel rhythm on the other side. I hunted for that one. And on the flip of the Rebel version on the Giant is Nice Time version, a runaway cut of that. Different rhythm to the Rocksteady, I think, even. And it's a dub. Nice Time dub. Shame someone wrote on it, but I'm not complaining. It's a serious tune. Rebel version. I'd love to play you these, but I'll be gone in a flash from YouTube. Copyright business. So maybe catch me on Mixcloud one day. Or even Twitch, if I can get around to it. So, where are we? We're getting to the end now. Just a couple of Lee Perrys left. And these two are absolutely essential. From a little known session that was discovered at some point. These tunes existed on dubplate. Beautiful dubplate. Dubplate's an unreleased version, basically, if you didn't know that. These came out, maybe early 2000s on this label, Ascension. And they're not the best mixes of these tunes I've heard. As I say, there's some unreleased ones that are really heavy, but these two tunes not available anywhere else on vinyl. And both really essential. I Know a Place is incredible. Lyrically, deep, meaningful. It's a must. Who Called the Games, very similar. So although I could definitely, there are heavier mixes out there on acetate. For most people, they're never going to get them. So worth hunting. Two of my favourites. And last one. It's a special. A man like Ras Echo. But that's just the personal. So that's it, people. Hope you enjoyed delving into this little box of Wailers with me on this rainy afternoon. The sounds of the birds. I've had a nice time looking through. A nice leisurely pace anyway.